He's good.
Yes.
We'll call meeting to order. Shelley, do roll call.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. District 1, Councilman Rios.
Present.
District 2, Councilman Pastor.
Present.
District 3, Councilman Leatham.
Present.
District 4, Vice Mayor Stapleton.
Here.
District 5, Councilman Gonzalez.
Here.
District 6, Councilman Shipley.
Here.
Mayor Gameros.
Here.
We have a quorum, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Shelley. Chief, can you lead us in the invocation, please?
Our Father in heaven, at this time as we come together as a community that's mourning the events that have occurred recently, we would pray for thy healing hand. We pray for those whose lives and livelihoods have been touched by these events. We pray as they work to recover, to mourn those that have passed, that they may find some measure of comfort in the support and the acts of kindness and love that have occurred. We would pray for those who are serving diligently to try to help their fellow man, that as they do so, they may find safety, that they may recognize thy hand in the things that are going on around them. We pray for our community as a whole. Please help us to heal. And we acknowledge thee in all that we do, and we say these things in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Freddie, can you lead us in the pledge?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll go ahead and start with the first community call to the public. That's item 1. If you are wanting to speak under community call to the public, that is limited to 3 minutes, and we can't respond to you. But if you want to speak and we're able to respond, I would fill out a sign sheet for item 2A, which addresses the incident. In that manner, we're able to respond to you, okay? So at this point, do we have anybody from community call to the public?
You have no one online in the email, and you check the phone. And I see no one from the audience,
Nothing on text, Mr. Mayor.
so I think we're good there.
Okay. So before we get started, I want to recognize some individuals, Supervisor Tim Humphrey. We also have Mark Albertson and Robin Bradford from Freeport Maparan. We have Andrea Robles, Executive Director of Central Arizona Government here also. I wanted to recognize those individuals. So item 2A is a special presentation, public safety update, emergency response and recovery efforts following the September 6, 2026 flooding event. And we're gonna have Police Chief Walters, Fire Chief Gary Robinson.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. Thank you for giving us an opportunity to update you and the public on what's going on concerning this tragic event. Again, as I said the other night, I want to give my sincere condolences to the family members, to all the citizens, community members, and business owners within our community that have lost so much. from loss of life to loss of their livelihoods. It's been a tragic day in the Globe, Miami area. And so, again, my deepest condolences. So the police department has been working in conjunction with the Type 3 team that has come up. We've been on this pretty steadily since the very beginning. Once we got past the real chaotic several first hours, we were able to kind of get a handle on it. It was a tremendous help bringing in the state. Bob sitting in the back, him and I kind of hit it off, and he was a great partner in all of this. And then I watched several of my personnel step up to the plate tremendously, and then members of the fire department, such as not only Chief Robinson, but Kendall was outstanding throughout all of this. John Angulo had helped us in so many different ways in setting up barricades and traffic control. It made our life much easier in a very chaotic area. So over the course of the last few days, our number one goal in the very beginning is search and rescue. And then then it becomes more of a recovery phase. And my biggest concern and what's kept me up for the last week has been not being able to identify unknowns. My concern from the very beginning, I knew if it was local, we would be inundated with calls from local people missing. We weren't getting that, so then I was very paranoid because we have some very good restaurants and it's a great place to be, that somebody from Glendale came up on date night and was swept away and the family didn't know they came up here, and so they would be reported missing in Glendale and I wouldn't know about it. So one of the key things that we needed to do early on was identify all the vehicles that were swept away as soon as possible and recover them so we could get the identification information from the vehicles to be able to identify the owners of the vehicles, and that's taken several days. If you've never been around flooding or anything, the thing that the water does is amazing. Not only will it crush an F-350 like a beer can, it'll bury it too. And so we've been coordinating with the search and rescue teams and the state group for the last several days, trying to clear debris, trying to locate different locations where vehicles were. We flew it the first night. We've had dogs in, search teams in there. There's 2 fire crews that came in, they're a cut crew, and I've never been around that before, I'm gonna tell you that right now, and it looked like a group of Tim Tebows walking with their saws over their shoulder. It was pretty impressive. So they worked diligently and worked with us harmoniously for the last several days. And over the last several days, we recovered, not including the loss of vehicles that Dale had from Courtesy Ford. That night, we recovered the majority of them fairly close to Courtesy Ford, several of them in the barbecue parking lot and over. Today, we recovered a couple of more out of the creek about a mile downstream. We pulled them out, and we pulled a total of 66, not including the new trucks, 66 personally owned vehicles out. And over the last several days, I've had the FBI, my group, the Department of Public Safety, and every other cop I know in this state, which is quite a few because I'm old, working to assist us in identifying the ROs. And about an hour ago, we identified the very last one, and they're all okay. I have no missing people right now, any known missing people at all. We're doing our due diligence to go through all the calls for service that dispatch received. They were absolutely overwhelmed in the beginning, so we're double checking all of those to make sure we didn't miss anything. And then in the next week to 2 weeks, our goal is to bring in some teams to run dogs through all the canals surrounding the area to potentially identify any victims that we were unaware of. In addition to this, we've been providing security and traffic control for Jess Hayes roads for the last couple of days, so the group can come in and do cleanup, and we've been doing it down Broad. We were able to partner with the Arizona Rangers that were a tremendous help for us to meet the demands on the department for traffic control and security down in the southern or in the northern end of Broad Street. It's not perfect. I'm going to tell you that right now. Most of these people don't know the area, and we've tried to educate them the best and try to stay with them as much as we can. But we're also responding to regular calls for service on a constant basis. The men and women of the Globe Police Department have put their heart and soul in this, just like the fire department did, and every shop owner and citizen in this community I've seen do. So I want to say thank you to all of you. The last thing I would tell you is in discussion with city leadership today, the call was made to keep Broad Street shut down until sunset on Sunday. We'll be trying to provide security 24 hours a day until that point in time, and then we'll go from there. At the end of the day, when I look at this, the fact that we only lost 3 people, which is a horrific tragedy in of itself, but it could have been so much worse. And I think the quick reaction by the first responders, 2 of which nearly died in the initial stages of this flooding, both Chief Robinson and Sergeant Jay Valenzuela, they were almost swept up themselves. Is remarkable that we haven't lost that many more people. So again, I cannot, and I know I'm missing people, I cannot say enough how impressive this community is. And I asked council tonight, and we don't do this, but I want to take questions if you have any, because I don't want to miss something, because it's important to me. So if anybody has any questions about the law enforcement efforts or what we did or what we didn't do, now's the time. I know there was a question concerning the closure of Broad by the gentleman there in the really cool hat. I don't know the answer to that. That is an offline discussion because there's a lot that goes with that. That'll have to be held with city leadership. But if you reach out, I will give you contact information. If you reach out, we'll see what we can do. He would like us to extend the closure on Broad, and I don't know that I have the staffing to be able to do exactly that, but we'll see what we can come up with. So let us meet as a group, and then either myself or my lieutenant will get a hold of you tomorrow. But until sundown Sunday, you're covered. And I will bring up, they need to get to the back of the building too. Any other questions for me?
Safety point, I've got all that stuff out on the sidewalk, and I've got all the tools and equipment in the back, and we don't want people coming down Broad Street. I mean, close it up to where the businesses are still open so they can conduct business, but beyond that, where everybody's been damaged, I think we need to keep that area closed until we can get the stuff off the sidewalks and off the street.
And I understand that, and 50 years ago, that would have been okay. But the reality of it is like, I'll give you an example. Udon called me last night and asked about trying to open up Broad up to his body shop because there were a lot of people wanting to bring things to his body shop. We could not do that. We could not do that for a couple of reasons. One, we were still cleaning up, but the second reason was it's a nightmare to try to turn vehicles around because the only vehicles we'd be accepting right there that could actually go there either live up on top of the hill or they were going to Udon's, that was it. So it would have been too difficult. So we made different arrangements where they could come in from the south side, and our security detail, we're letting them in all day to get down there, just like we are with some of the open businesses. So it really depends on exactly where your shop is and what it looks like and what we can do. But to man it for one shop with security, I don't know if that's going to be possible. But we'll have a discussion and then we'll get back to you, I promise you. Any other questions about the event or about the efforts thereof? Yes, ma'am.
Your report, is that for the region or is that specifically for city?
You might want to repeat the question because people won't hear it online.
The question is my report, is it for the region or the city limits of Globe? It is for the city limits of Globe. So the Sheriff's Department recovered a victim in wheat fields that went in just outside of Miami. The details of that you'll have to get with the Sheriff's Department. But I will tell you this, my efforts extended way beyond the city limits of Globe. because there was potential that my citizens could have been traveled that far. So not only has this team extended, and Gary can talk about the efforts for the overall team, because they've extended around the region. From a law enforcement perspective, we extended, and I sent people down to Bixby Road, and that wasn't far enough for me, so I sent them down to the other end of Wheatfields, trying to identify vehicles and potential victims the best they could, in addition to the search teams that did the same thing. But my goal was to try to identify it and get everything recovered as quickly as we could back here, because I was hoping I would have the news that I have tonight to be able to share with this group that we were complete in the recovery of all the vehicles and identifying the registered owners. Hopefully that helps. Any other questions of me? Yes, ma'am.
This might be more of a question for Chief Robinson, I'm not sure, but I
I'll make stuff up, it's for him.
was, just curious if either of you could report on the status of the propane tanks.
So that's probably for me at this point, and Chief Robinson might have some more details. If you go out to Wheatfields, it looks like a pumpkin patch still, but in the city limits of Globe, the recovery group have been very responsive to us, hitting all the main areas in the very beginning of the large collections of tanks. The overall team that was here worked diligently with them, and we had assigned a lieutenant and an officer for control, traffic control, to assist them throughout. Today was kind of mop up, and we went through the city, and we're trying to hit every single place that there was one or two tanks. All the city directors, most of them have been out and about, and they've been identifying them. Tony Manfredi likes to find stuff for me to do, so he was finding them all day. But at this point in time, standing here right now, my belief, at least within the city limits of Globe, and most of Pinal Creek down to Bixby Road, they've been retrieved. There is a good chance that we've missed some. They shot into buildings, they could be buried, they could be a lot of different things, but to my best knowledge, I think we've done a good job. And I know that the teams that were out all day were identifying them. I know Kendall's group working Pinal Creek today were identifying them. I know Bob, whenever they saw him or his teams would see him, they would identify him, and we would try to get somebody coordinated to go pick him up. So right now, at least within the city limits of Globe, I think we're pretty solid, and most of Pinal Creek down to Bixby Road it is. And then I think they're gonna end up having a fall harvest down at Wheatfields. Other questions?
How about the road behind me going down to the dump? No one was over there, cutting up the traffic to go to the back road, and there's two roads washed out, really bad there.
I know the county and the county supervisor, Tim Humphreys, will probably address that during this time. I know the county had done a lot of work trying to repair things. What that looks like, I don't know. I've been focused in on here, and I haven't been up there. We have one road, and I'm gonna butcher the name, Baraldi, or what is it? That's closed off. Barawadi. It has to be looked at by an engineer. That had significant erosion on it because of the flood, and that's why it's closed off. But I can't speak to the county road up by the dump. Any other questions? Again, if I miss somebody through this that put the effort in that they did, and I'm talking about the field guys, behind the scenes throughout this entire event, every staff member within the city was working overtime, trying to get stuff done. The public works guys killed it. I mean, they just absolutely were outstanding. But it wasn't just them, it was all the staff inside of City Hall. It was our HR department, it was everything. And our city leadership, I don't know how many times I saw city council or city manager or assistant city manager or directors out amongst the people, seeing what it was that we could do to make this better or try to help them through this. So I thought, and then the city itself, the community here has been terrific, and thankful. I'll be here all night, so feel free to stop and ask me questions.
Chief, before you sit down, I have a question.
you gave a number of 3 fatalities in the city of Globe.
There were 3 fatalities total for the event. 1 was from Miami, 2 were from the city of Globe.
Oh, okay, all right. I thought you had said 3 from Globe, that's why I was
It
curious.
was 3 total. We have no active missing right now, and I know there's a lot of rumors out there, guys, but that's what they are, they're rumors. I've said this at multiple press conferences, multiple times. We've had a total of 3 for the event, 2 from the city of Globe, and that's all that we're aware of. And trust me, we've been looking. Council, Mayor, anything else? No. Thank you.
Thank you. Chief.
Mr. Mayor, council member, members of the public. First of all, I mentioned it last night, to the individuals who within our community stepped up and put themselves in a difficult and dangerous position for their fellow citizens. Sorry. Thank you. Thank you from us. We appreciate your efforts in those circumstances. It's clear that, you know, an event like this can rapidly overwhelm emergency services within a community of many sizes, but clearly our size, where we have limited resources. One of the things that we, you know, particularly in the fire world, have come to rely on, not only, and we see them all the time in wildland fires, but it's sometimes, you know, it's sometimes less known that these incident management teams can be brought in as a resource to our community. And I want to invite Chief Bob Arthur from the Department of Forestry and Fire Management up just to join me, if he would, please. Chief Arthur is the operations section chief for the Type 3 team that we brought in. Part of the reason we do that is because of the amount of resources that are needed, not only in that initial phase of an operation, but also as we continue in those further search efforts, recovery efforts, and everything that goes along with that to try and stabilize the community, to get it back to where we can at least begin some semblance of normal government operations. They bring with them specialists not only in how to organize and control events, how to logistically support them with everything that you need, food, water, equipment, whatever that case may be, financial support in terms of how do we track everything that's going on, planning to help us put together effective objectives so we know what we're working towards to try and get to a point, and then how to move that back to allow us as a local entity to begin to take control of what we have, and to do that, you know, with under clear recommendations and guidance from the local entity. We were fortunate, you know, we're fortunate to have some of these individuals in our community that function on these. We were fortunate to be able to begin to activate that process early on, because it is a tremendous amount. Everybody in the community can see and has had the opportunity to see the work that goes on and what that entails. A lot of that is coordinated from top to bottom to make sure that we are accomplishing what we're trying to accomplish. To make sure, as Chief Walters mentioned, Chief Walters' group integrated with that team rapidly. They had objectives that they were working towards, and the team supported those. The ability to bring that into our community, to allow them to assist our community, and then to, in turn over to us all that they have tracked, all that they have sorted, and make sure that, you know, that we have a clear understanding of where we stand as that process occurs is vital. It's vital to us as a fire department, to the police department, to our public works department. It's vital to our citizens to know the efforts that have gone into that. And what I can't thank them enough, and I want to give Chief Arthur a minute just to kind of give a little bit of an operational update on where they stood on those operations outside of the law enforcement arena, so that we understand, you know, and we can start to put together a timeline of when we start to look at returning this. As part of that, as part of that process of returning the city to normal operations, one of the things that we have done, council members, members of the public, is we have brought in a temporary emergency manager whose function is a lot of the back end stuff of what's going on out there. That helps us get a clear picture, a clear idea of what we're going to have to work towards once that team is gone, and will allow us to continue the efforts and get a really good understanding of what we need to do to make sure that our citizens have the public services that are needed beyond that point. And I'll give Chief Arthur a little bit of time here.
Good evening, Mayor and Council and the public. As both the chiefs previous to me have mentioned, this all started Friday evening around 6 o'clock. There were a couple of us on the team that live here in the Globe community. We were able to come in and assist both Globe Tri-City, Globe PD and the Sheriff's Office start to stabilize the emerging incident. We ordered the rest of the Type 3 incident management team was ordered early Saturday morning, most of them coming from the Phoenix area. We did have some of them that were up assisting with the funeral services for the 2 fallen Timber Mesa firefighters. We were able to put the team together sometime mid-Saturday afternoon and take off. We assumed command of the incident at 1800 Saturday evening. We opted, due to the situation that we were in with the floodwaters and so on, not being able to see the canals in the dark of night, that we just worked a day shift. One of the things we were keeping an eye on was further storms hitting the canals, causing the creeks to run. If that was to occur at night and we were working night shift, we couldn't see that happen. Therefore, the people that we had in the creek, we were putting them right in harm's way. So we stuck to it, strictly a day shift schedule. We had equipment from City of Globe, some private contractors in the area. We brought in 2 of our wildland fire crews, and then were able to order the Globe Hotshots, which were a local crew as well. And we combined the law enforcement agencies that had the search and rescue dogs, the 3 hand crews that we had, and the heavy equipment. And we started in the headwaters of the canyons, 6-Shooter Ice House in Kellner Canyon, cleared those for any victims, and then we started down through downtown Globe and went through Pinal Creek and McMillan Wash, both looking for survivors, victims, and then we started removing the multiple propane tanks and all the vehicles that ended up in the waterways. And once we cleared an area with the search dogs, then we moved the vehicles. We went in with our hand crews, our fire crews, and cut any of the woody material pieces into pieces small enough that we could either get them up onto a bridge, onto a roadway, or made them small enough that if we didn't get them out of the creeks, that the next time the water ran, or, you know, if we'll leave it at water ran, they would be small enough pieces that they would get through the next bridge and not cause a backup and floods to go over. We utilized, starting Saturday or Friday night, we had DPS Ranger 1 came up and flew all the waterways from the headwaters all the way to wheat fields. Also flew the, I don't know the name of the creek that comes west of Miami through downtown Miami and then ties in with Pinal Creek in the area of Kaiser Crossing. They flew it as well. And then we did put search dogs in it. And daily we have had, first 2 days we continued helicopter operations with the DPS Ranger helicopters that had infrared flight capabilities. So they were able to determine temperature differences, regardless whether it was a human, but just temperature differences. And then we've flown those areas repeatedly with vision-capable drones. So all the creeks and waterways in the community have been covered multiple times on foot by search dogs, firefighters, you know, SAW teams, drones, and helicopters. And that brings us up to today. We spent a majority of our day in Pinal Creek, north of the sewer treatment plant, removing what we hope is the last 4 cars and another handful of propane tanks. And that brings us, you know, up to today. Tomorrow we will still have 2 of the 3 fire crews in the area continuing to work on cutting any of the woody material into pieces small enough, again, that we can get them out, or that they'll be small enough to pass through all the bridges downstream. And, you know, we will remain in place until you folks at the city feel that you're ready to release us. I just, you know, I want to thank all the agencies involved. I've been doing this incident management team stuff for 23 years, and this was a real easy handoff, takeover, whatever you want to call it, transition. You know, of course, I knew 95% of the players involved, but you folks really worked well with us, and we appreciate that. So thank you. Any questions for me? Okay.
And I'll echo what Chief Arthur said. My thanks to all the players involved, to the local entities, our local PD, Sheriff's Office, Tri-City Fire District, all the way up through the state entities that have supported us, to even federal resources that have been here to work to support everything that's gone on behind the scenes to make sure we're accounting for anything and everything we can account for. As with Chief Arthur, if there are any questions, I would entertain those as well.
And Mr. Mayor, we do have a couple of questions that were texted in for this group. Okay. Are you okay if I share those now?
Yeah, that'll be good if it addresses the.
Yes, it's on point. So the question, and I have a phone number, I don't know the name, they didn't put a name in. Can you please discuss which jurisdiction had or has responsibility for oversight and code enforcement for Matlock Propane? How current were oversight efforts, and was Matlock in compliance? And I don't know if that's you, or we'll start with whoever wants to respond.
The Matlock facility sits within the jurisdiction of Gila County currently.
Speak up a little bit.
Sorry, the Matlock facility sits within the jurisdiction of Gila County.
And so that doesn't, so we don't know who has the oversight and compliance, but we know we don't.
We know we don't have the jurisdictional responsibility for the compliance at Matlock has.
But I think we've discussed, we're gonna work with the county and everybody's stakeholders
Right.
to
So-
follow up on this.
So part of that is, where the tanks currently sit, does sit within the city of Globe. We, as a city, we've already begun discussing, I've been discussing with the fire department team what efforts we need to make to now clear the staging area that's currently being used to place those tanks so that they don't present an additional hazard in the future.
Mariano,
Mr. Mayor.
go ahead.
Based on career information from my past, Arizona Department of Environmental Quality does have oversight of hazardous materials. And you know this, Chief, the annual reports have to be made by companies that store facilities or chemicals that are hazardous annually to ADEQ. And it is, I think it's easily available on the net of which facility has what and in what quantity. And it's for those purposes of information flow. It is an annual requirement. They have to map it and tell you where it is. As to the tanks themselves, that's another matter for ADEQ to determine what they were looking at, and they'll go back and review these reports. So that's the first mechanism. There are others, and it always lands on the desk of what was called the Arizona Emergency Response Commission, who was handed that responsibility. It used to be over at DEMA,
Right.
and now it's over at the Department of Environmental Quality. So those are records mandated by federal law. They do report annually, and it's up to the company to make those reports available to ADEQ as well as to the fire departments.
And that's found under tier 2 reporting is
Yes.
the,
Yeah, so that's a mechanism that's out there. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor, thank you.
So, Mr. Mayor, I have a second question, and that is from, directed for Chief Walters. So, and then you have all the public too, so I don't know if we're gonna go back and forth or.
Yeah, we have two call to the public for 2A, but I'm gonna divert those to 2B and
Okay.
let Public Works speak first, and I'm also, before we go to these, I'm gonna allow council to make comments too.
Yep.
Okay?
And council can make comments at any point.
Well, I mean, I wanna allow them to,
Yeah.
as a council, to be able to do that.
And Chief, this question, again, it's a phone number, I don't know who. Question for Chief Walters, will mental health resources be available for first responders? What your team did, what your team has done is remarkable, but recognize it will take a toll for years to come. How can we help? And I would expand that to both police and fire.
So internally, we have a critical incident stress management group. Her name is Shelley. So she's going to be doing debriefs with our personnel. We'll be inviting Gary's personnel to that, along with the city. We also have resources through the city, benefits, and then we have special resources available to our personnel that are first responders that are actually trained with first responder issues to go to if such thing is needed. So I've already had those discussions with Shelley for us, that she'll be setting that up starting next week. You would like to try to do these as early after the event as you can, and so she'll be starting to set up, and she'll reach out to Chief Robinson to get his personnel in. I can't speak for the state and all the teams that come in. My guess is, as professional as they are, they have things in place already for their groups when they go through some of this.
And Mr. Mayor, there's others, but they'd be better directed by other members of staff, so I'll hold those until
Okay.
we get to those other two staff members.
Mayor, Council, did you have any other questions for me?
Fernando, good.
I had a question about the bridges, but is that somebody else?
Yeah, let me Public Works
Okay,
and then.
okay.
Yeah. Relief.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council.
Thank you, Chief.
So, like I said, I have two call cards for 2A, but I'm gonna jump to 2B, because I wanna allow Public Works to speak before that. So item B is Public Works Department update, response, cleanup, and infrastructure recovery following the September 26th, 2025 flood event, and our Public Works Director, John Angulo.
Good evening, Mayor, council, members of the public, the media.
Yeah, and John, outside voice.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So I'd just like to start with, just on the infrastructure. So our water system, I know we've gotten phone calls as far as our, any contaminants, our water system, it's a closed system. Our water system has not been affected. It feeds out of our Cutter Well system field, where the tanks come up, as you see them throughout town. We have not had any disturbance, any electrical APS shutdown. We have backup generators, so any disruption, our generators were in place and they function just like they should. We did have some booster pumps running because we did have some mainline breaks. The ones were specifically damaged, like Yuma Street, where the lines were actually damaged and we had to shut them down. So there was that disruption, but as far as the quality of the water has never changed. The disruption has been just because we had to isolate valves. There's a lot of residential service lines that cross creeks or edge of roads. So when you had some areas that got washed out, they had to be shut down temporarily. That's been the biggest disruption. We're still feeling some of those. We're having meters that got wiped out, and fortunately we've had some local vendors that have been able to help us to catch up on that. Our biggest hit was actually over relating to our sewer plant. So our sewer plant actually made the storm, if you know where it's at in the creek area. I won't say the name, but it's alongside the creek bed. The flow actually goes more towards the west side of the plant. Luckily, there was no there's no disruption in power. Usually we have alarms that will go off. I have a camera system I can monitor, so during the water flow, I was by the chambers on the highway with that blocked off, and that was one of my thought too. When we have that type of flow, if it gets into the water, the sewer system, it's definitely gonna create the contamination downstream. Everything actually was just other than the rain, that was the only thing that we really dealt with. One part, our point of discharge, after where we do our sampling, that was literally buried, the building that we do our sampling off of, but that's actually after it's been treated, and that's for our monitoring. So it didn't really affect the whole treatment plant itself, and we've, like I said, for that, it's been actually with the help of the mine, additional from groups that have helped us. We dug that up, dug it out of the sand, because literally close to the creek bed, and that's right by the Rivera property and the ranch on that's our point of discharge. The biggest hit that we have taken in the last few days, because this comes after the flow starts increasing and things are trying to get back, we have a lot of, our sewer system runs through the creek bed. We have a significant amount of manholes. Those rings with the debris have been damaged. They've been basically knocked off of the base. So all the manholes and the covers and the hives, the beehives we would call them, and the encasements have been sheared off. We've at least got 3 different separate issues. So what happened when that did, it just knocked it off, and literally the sewer line is exposed. So everything that's either flowing or wanting to go down the line found its way, so they're full of rock and debris. The initial, so now that everything's gone down, the backups are starting to show themselves. So that's what we've been working specifically on. If you saw a few weeks ago, we received a jetter truck, and the ironic thing is we received it the week before, but the staff had not been properly trained on the equipment. So with this storm coming in, we actually had to have a contractor come in and start helping us with that. The contractor that was doing the work for us, they actually broke down, they blew a drive line, so that actually prolonged some of the search efforts that the Globe Fire was trying to do through the creeks. So that put us off another day. So they've actively been working on those, but what we did do is the vendor that actually where we purchased the truck, we requested an emergency, so they actually came out and did a hands-on. So they've been doing that, so the truck you've seen is actually the City Globe jetter truck being put to its best use it could possibly have. So we've actively been doing that. Probably most importantly is the bridge assessments. We've reached out, our engineer reached out to ADOT. All our bridges are semi-annually inspected by ADOT. That's on a schedule, that's on a system. And the last time, like I said, when we did our bridge inspections, we have those reports, and they're all where they need to be. Primarily, the bridges that were on the worst part of the system have actually, this past year, was the Reese Bridge / Connie's Bridge. That was the second worst rated, and then that's why we had initially years ago did the replacement of that bridge. And the worst one was actually Cottonwood, and that one was the one that was also replaced. The city has been in working towards looking at grants to replace the Yuma and the Haskins. And ironically, those are the two that are blocked off right now. So we already started that next steps process trying to foresee replacement of the bridges. So the current condition, today ADOT came out, did some inspections on that. And unfortunately, tonight, we still don't know. They inspected 10 bridges. That's the Yuma Bridge, the Haskins Bridge, the bridge near El Ranchito, and that's the one, basically a culvert span bridge that goes underneath the road. That's the one that kind of feeds off right on the side of Yuma. The High Street Bridge, that's that elevated steel bridge that you see that crosses High Street. Broad Street near Silver King. That's where all the railings were, the Silver King, that one crosses towards McSpadden. The bridge that's outside here, right by US 60 Motors, that comes out along the backside, they're significant. You saw the trailers and the damage that was along there. They were inspecting that. Our Cottonwood Bridge, the Reese Bridge, our Highland Street Bridge. When you're going off of South Street, there's a small channel there that goes across the creek there. And then the Ice House Bridge that goes on the opposite side. Those are the 10 initial. There's still additional bridge where we talked about Bawadi. Those are in a different system, but ADOT actually, the inspector said those will be inspected also, but that it's a different ADOT team that will come out and do those. He stated they do very thorough. They take the pictures, they do the comparison, they look at the previous reports, and then they'll compare their notes. So we may not have that information until next week. So unfortunately, until I get those, my biggest concern, even if they're clear to open, once we get them cleared up, is I have to come up with what the recommendation per the engineer or what we're gonna do for the railing. As you know, the Yuma Bridge lost all the sidewalk. We've kind of jumped over on the water line and tied that back in to get service, but we will have to get a little bit more definite, longer term plan for that. So the bridges, like I said, we won't get that report till next week. Staff currently will continue to do the work where we're starting to do the downtown. It won't stop there. We've seen the water trucks going through trying to do some dust control, running the sweepers to help with the cleanup, the downtown and Just Hayes. What I'm hoping to do in the next few days is kind of branch out and start hitting the areas that we traditionally do after storm, when our regular storm cleanup. Because we do get there's some other areas that you see stop signs that are tweaked over, some other signs that have been affected and they're falling over. And there's other areas you've seen some going towards Copper Rim. There's some edge of road washouts. Those are being addressed and we're having contractors help us. Once again, I would say without the community's help, my team is great as in confidence I have in them, we could not keep up. I would give a hats off to all of our departments and such, but everything that I have witnessed in the last few days, there's no words for that. We could not do it without the skid steers, the backhoes, the dump trucks. We currently have so many trucks, so many staff. This could not be done without the public, the vendors, the people cleaning sidewalks. You've seen the DOC crews. They've sent all the resources they have to us that usually go out to Superior, Winkleman. Those also, I just, as other chiefs have shared, on the 25th, I celebrated the 30th year that I've moved to Globe. Ironically, the 26th, this came, but this is also another reminder why I moved to this community. I've always seen this in different aspects, and what was hard for me, I was on the phone with Chief Gary when he started getting washed away. I hope to never have that type of conversation with anybody again. you know, because I didn't see Gary for at least half an hour, 45 minutes after that phone call. And I couldn't, he didn't respond. You know, I didn't know where he was at. The other call that I received was for my niece that was on the other side of the highway that owns La Casita. She wanted to know if I had been by her business. And I said, yes. And she goes, how bad is it? I had no heart to tell her that. I just couldn't do it because it's her family business. Everybody knows the history, but I know she's done so much, and she's her family, everything, our family, everything that we've worked and I've seen her doing with that thing. She's so proud, and she should be, just like the rest of everybody else in this community with their businesses. And that really, it tore me up. I never told her how bad it was. I just couldn't do it. You know, there were some pictures shared in social media. That's when she started seeing it. I didn't have the heart for it. I couldn't do it. But also in the community where I saw other team members, you know, our tow company, business owners that have lost, knowing that they've lost possibly their business, their livelihood in that sense. They were out there doing what Globe Fire and Globe Police and myself, at our request, they were out there doing. And that's, like I said, those are the reminders of why I'm standing up here, and hope that I'm doing my part for all of you, for our community. So I probably don't have too much more, and I can take any questions. But thank everyone, but everybody's been doing what they do, because I know my team can only do so much. And the group effort that's been out there, I hope that we're doing our part. I hope that I'm doing mine.
Any questions for John?
Mr. Mayor, I do have one that was texted in. It says, and you kind of covered this, but the question is, do we know when other debris will be removed from the creek? There's a boat trailer in the creek and ice house. Do you want to touch any more on the difficulties in managing the creeks and the restrictions to a point on that, and then the jurisdictional issues too?
So a lot of the creek cleanup, as some of you may remember, part of our goal in Public Works is exactly that. I know the question was asked the other day, and it's been asked throughout. If you look back in March, we usually anticipate at least twice a year we go in there and do creek cleanup. It was on social media, and that's my goal, is to get in there, do the debris. Like we said, we do Corps of Engineers, the dead and down, and remove anything that's mostly in March prior to monsoon season. Over the winter, there's weather storms. If there were snow, that knocks a lot of trees down. And I like to get in there before spring, so you can literally see what's gonna come back, or what's actually dormant, or however you may say it. So we did that initial cleanup. Now, the cleanup for the creeks, we haven't gone in so much. One, for the staffing, our focus has been the downtown, Just Hayes. Now that we're venturing off, we will start doing some of that. I can tell you that we've been limited on what we get into the creeks now, only for that we want the Forest Service crews to do what needs to be done, the search and rescue to be completed, because that's been a highlight for that. So we will be going through, because we're gonna still have to assess all of our manholes that run through the creeks. That's gonna be that's our responsibility, but we didn't wanna overlap on some of the crews that are physically doing their initial part of it. Long term, I've already spoke with the mayor and staff this afternoon, where we had a discussion on this. It doesn't stop here for us. We have to look at the down the road as we talk about possibly there's walls that I know that we're taking out. Those are going to have to be engineered and designed, and those are the times that we would probably look for enhancements. But I would look for the Corps of Engineers and direction for, at that administrative level. The additional cleanup, there's a lot of areas that have been filled with material. We will, and those are the things we're gonna have to go in, because if we have wet winter or any additional flow, the amount of sediment that has filled some of these areas, it's not gonna take that much to top off another bridge. So those are the things that we have to look at. So we will start getting into those once we can take care of the immediate. There is still trailers, there is some stuff, debris that we have to go in there. Fortunately, we do, when we acquired the last one, we had our DEMA funding, when we did our creek cleanup prior, we do have equipment now that can grip this, and that's the team that's been working with the Globe Fire, recovering some of these vehicles. So that's the same equipment we'll utilize to get into these creeks and coordinate to removing this. Some of the areas are private properties, so when we get to that point, like we did previous cleanup, we'll have to go off the mapping and get permission and get signed slips to go into certain areas. But it will be kind of focused on that. We'll probably have to coordinate with the county at some point if we want to expand that.
Go ahead, Fernando.
John, so one of the comments has been, how come we don't dredge? Why don't we go in there and dig out some of the sand and make it deeper? But there's a lot of regulations that regulate you from doing that. Is that right? Or
Yes.
what can we do?
So I think the question was brought up recently where we used to do the banks, dredging. So that's kind of one of the things. So that there have been more, for my years of service, like I said, with the city, we used to go in and take more out. And then we actually got restricted from going in there. So when I say the dead and down, literally, that's what it is. We cannot go in there and take anything usually bigger than 3 inch on a stump on a tree. If it's being restrictive near a culvert and stuff, we can do certain things, but we have to have them go, kind of do an analysis of the area. There is some troubled areas that we know that you've probably got at least 10 foot of material. You wouldn't even see anything, you wouldn't know the difference until you get that water flow again. Some of the lower line washes, they actually backfill as soon as it rains. So there's some of these bridges that we've taken equipment in there, and you get one good rain and you're back to square one. So it's just a continuous effort, but the restrictions with the Corps of Engineers has been greatly one of the areas. So I think that's probably something we're really gonna have to coordinate those efforts and, work as a group to be allowed to go in there and do a lot of the work in the banks and stuff that we haven't, been able to do. We've done some in the creek cleanup, but it's usually just to take care of the big trees that are really imminent danger. And I'm glad for the Forest Service where they're cutting things down that we can't get into that sooner. Just like even with the railroad company, you've seen them, they're doing their inspections on their bridges, but they had that milling machine a few weeks back or 2 months ago, and it was milling a lot of that. It may have been worse if that hadn't been done also.
I have a comment too. John, excuse me. I've had people come up to me too and say, why don't we do the creeks or dig them out deeper, another 10 feet, shore them up, do whatever you can. And I said, we do go in there and clean them frequently because of this. But that storm, there's nothing would have solved that problem. I mean,
Yes.
It was running over the edges. How deep is the creek at the entrance to the city? 20 feet deep.
About 20 feet at least, yeah.
And it was going over.
It was going over. When I was called out, it was already starting to jump. When I crossed Yuma Bridge, it hit the side of my truck. But luckily for me, we were in Miami and I was hauling sandbags. So I had a pallet of sandbags in back of my truck, and I think that's where I gained not having as much issue as some of the other trucks had, because I was weighted down pretty good.
Thank you, Doug.
Members of council, so like I say, this is an update for the actions that have happened and then a little bit future on the recovery. I will, not ready to talk about this now, but we do intend to do a post-analysis of the event, the storm event, figure out exactly what it was so we can put a number on it, and then re-engineer, see how it acted, and see if there's anything that we can glean from that. There are some repairs that need to be made, and then also I think we'll take another hard look at what options we do have. Again, it's very difficult because of regulations to get in there, but we will take a hard look at what we need to do maintenance wise. If there's more we can get from a political side, and from, this is an opportunity to make sure that at least we have a functioning as best we can. Like I say, you're exactly right. I don't think if we had the most pristine creek and walls and everything, it still would have busted out. It was not designed for this amount of rain. But we also can make sure that it is functioning for the design standards it had at the time. And that's a future conversation, but as we think and look forward, we're looking at all these things.
Mayor Scott. So you kind of touched on it, but cleaning out the manholes, because I know on Saturday afternoon we got a little bit of a rain again, and the drains are starting to back up already over the sidewalks. So that's the jetting part that you're working on?
So the jetting part that we're working on is actually clearing the sewer men themselves. We had an issue of some drainage here that we actually worked with ADOT to pump that out, because at that time they didn't have the equipment. Now they actually have a jetter truck, so they will go out. They traditionally will go out annually and clean drains. You see them up on the bypass and some of the areas downtown. So more so with the amount of flow or the dirt that we've had, they plan on jetting a lot of those out. We'll focus on some of the downtown area, because that still needs to be done now that we have a jetter truck. Because normally the only way that you can do is kind of with all the muck, and then we were cleaning, you saw where they had the hydrants open, it was just to break some of that material up. But we still are gonna have to get in there, because not only that, there's a lot of construction debris and stuff that's gotten in there. So we definitely need to start chasing those and getting them cleaned out, make sure they're clean.
Okay.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
So before we
Thank you,
go
sir.
on to these call cards, I want to give council an opportunity to make any comments you want. It wasn't on our immediate agenda, which I thought it should be, but wanna give
I
you
don't
that
see
opportunity.
I don't see the representatives here that I asked to be here, but maybe tomorrow's meetings we can have them. Registrar of Contractors, are you in the audience? And the other one is the American Red Cross, are you in the audience? We'll defer to tomorrow's meetings.
Yep.
And the only comment I want to say, I've said this before, I've had a long career in emergency management in this state, dealing with all manner of hazards. To my experience drawing upon it, I can only think of two major incidents that had this kind of flooding. Catastrophic, Winkleman in 1993, also in the eastern part of the state, and I always forget that little community's name that have the floodgates over by the mine. And that's, well, it's another story. The point being, you asked me what we had Friday night was beyond anything in my career that I have ever seen. In a short run of Pinal Creek, as compared to the flooding of the Gila River in 93, because it had time to fan out in the giant floodplain of that river, a lot of danger was actually kept away from the public. The compression of this flood within the city of Globe was what the danger was about. And the mayor has said this before, this is catastrophic. We've had and heard discussions about we should be doing this, we should be doing that. That's going to be placed into what's called an after action report, and we will address those accordingly in the future. We've had one major dialogue with Corps of Engineers, not just cleaning of channels, but preventing flood through a particular channel. And Connie, I don't remember the name of it, excuse me, but I'm sorry? McCormick. It has taken us 2.5 to 3 years working with the Corps, who has actually been very proactive in this instance, because they usually don't do before problems, they do after problems. In this one, it's before. It hasn't failed yet. We know we've got to address it, but even tail twisting with the Corps, they have actually jumped on this project. I'm very proud of that dialogue, and Connie, you've been leading that charge. But it takes time, and Tim, you know that process. It's very much a long process because they want to get the ducks in a row every time. It's a proactive process this time, and we look forward from creating and generating products in our after-action report that move us forward. We may be calling for a task force. We may be asking for the public to come to that kind dialogue with the Corps of Engineers. I need to point out one more thing. 98% of the land is owned by other entities in the state of Arizona, tribal, federal, BLM, state. And we live in this rectangle known as a mining district. Created in the 1880s, all states in the West did this to encourage economic growth. First it was gold, then silver, and then copper. All of them were placed in places. Let's face it, we are not a planned community. We are a boom town. And that's how a lot of the cities and towns in the West started. They put it together and they did it. As hazards developed, they addressed them. The last known flood here, I believe, was in 1954, a year before I was born. And I believe that was the impediment or the push, the impetus to build the channels the way they looked now. 20 feet high. Someone did some engineering through the city, and I congratulate them. For most of that set of years, the channelization worked. And we were very fearful. I was worried after the telegraph fire that it would jump the banks. It did not. And the other good thing was no lives were lost. Well, here we are today, and we need to address this. I don't know the way forward. I know that we need to work with all of our partners to look at what that new normal is going to be for channelization. We have to be the lead on this particular set. Suggestions have been made about, channeling it all the way, concreting it all the way to the top of the mountain. These are impossible wishes. We know that. But I know that we'll open the discussion up at the after action report, and we invite your comments and give us a way forward to work with the feds and all the agencies that are now in play. And I'll say one last thing. Title 26, Arizona Revised Statutes, is one of the most powerful emergency management laws in the country. It gives the highest elected official the authority to order things from out of region to help with the calamity, whatever it may be. And that's what was done Friday night. So all of our people who are trained in incident management, who work with partners in incident management, knew what the consequences were if we didn't go faster in this incident. I've spent a career hoping that emergency management and the incident management teams would do the mind melt thing, and they have. That was a long, hard journey to get there, by the way, and I have war stories about that. But we have succeeded at that, so that the Friday night decision was made immediately. And we have practiced and trained and exercised together to get to that moment that that decision had to be made Friday night. So I want to thank all the responders for doing that. Your training saved a lot of people. I want to thank all the public out there who stepped up in that moment to help save lives. That was very impressive. So thank you for your efforts, and we've got to move forward now. So, Mr. Mayor, I'm done. Thank you, sir.
Fernando?
When I was mayor, we had 2 rains within a week that were 100-year rains. And I remember that the creek and the water was hitting Haskins, the bridge. It was barely coming over the top. It was going over the top of Connie's Bridge, and I was really, really worried. And that was nothing compared to what happened this Friday. It was intense. I wanted to come to see. I thought my office was going to be gone because my office sits right on the highway. I couldn't even get through. My wife, first of all, she wouldn't let me go. But the second thing is that they blocked off the road fairly early so that no one else would be in danger, which is actually a really wise thing because people were coming through town or trying to come through town, not even knowing that they would be in danger if they came over the top of that hill. And so the fact that our people got together right away to protect other people from not even knowing what they were going to get into was amazing. I'm a State Farm agent. One of my customers was pulled from a vehicle through her window right before she and her car were swept down the creek. And just people putting themselves in danger to help other people was amazing. So I get by my office. the water changed its direction like 20 feet. You could see the debris, and then it turned towards the creek, and my office was fine. So we came down the hill, and my daughter's boyfriend owns Upton's right here. So we spent the whole next 2 days mucking out mud, getting everything. We knew we didn't have flood insurance. So all we could do is get as much out and get it as clean as we could as fast as possible. And the people that came with shovels and rakes and just, it was amazing. We never even had to leave to get food. It was just to see people come together, you know, and you know, like now if you watch TV, we're all fighting all the time and we don't agree with each other. And I'm like, there was none of that, you know, and I'm just like, you know what we really need to do is just, if you're watching something, they're telling you to hate somebody, turn it off. Just turn it off, because that's not who we are. To see what happened here is beautiful. That's why I never left this town, was because we have people like that will do whatever it takes to help each other out. And so even my customers, I thought I was gonna get bombarded on Monday with claims, and I did, but how many people waited till today to turn in a claim because they knew that they weren't as important as some other people? So they waited till today to turn in their claims. And it's like, when you got the guy who lost his business, who's out there pulling vehicles out of the river or in the creek because they needed him. I mean, so thank you to everybody that made a difference and did something. I really appreciate you. That's it, Mayor.
Thank you, Freddie.
Thank you, Mayor. You know, we've all experienced this, and there's so many stories to tell, and there's still so many stories that are not untold yet. Personal experiences from the city side to just regular people in the streets that experienced and became heroes by saving others, just by being human. I've heard since Friday. I've heard story every single day, even from the staff that I work with. They just happen to be right here on Broad Street. And they were sending me videos. Freddie, look at this. And after the water subsided, two of my staff members, not in uniform, just as regular people, migrated down the street, and where the new Washington Federal Building is going up, they found a man hanging onto a pole. He was on a motorcycle, an elderly man, got caught up in it, and hung on throughout the whole ordeal. They picked him up and carried him away and took him to wherever he wanted to go. Just harrowing stories about, you know, people trying to save people. First responders, police, fire, and just the human dignity of everybody in this community is just so overwhelming and humbling and heartfelt. I want to offer my condolences to the people, the businesses, the homeowners that have lost loved ones, property, personal belongings. I want to give a thanks to everybody, all the agencies, from locals to state to county, federal, all these agencies that came in. And then on Monday, we get just an influx of hundreds of volunteers from not even from Globe to come and help and clean and just do what they can. All the food vendors, all the donations from abroad is just overwhelming. It's so humbling to be a part of that. To not only go through a disaster like this, but then to see the quick response from others to help recover. I believe this mayor and council is going to have a full dedicated effort to recover and recover quickly, to help our business communities get back on their feet, to help our local residents get back on their feet. People that have lost homes or severely damaged homes, help them get back on their feet. That's the only right thing to do. I think it's important that we continue to, for the near future, to continue to provide you, the public, the business owners, the homeowners and property owners, continued updates on the progresses that the city government is making to help you get back on your feet. I think it's important so that we don't get caught up in rumors, Facebook chats that may not be accurate and misleading and create misunderstandings and division. Now is not the time to divide. Now is the time for all of us to come together and help each other in any way we can. And I hope maybe if we can, I know we talked about what can we do to open up these waterways. I don't know. I mean, we have federal restrictions, but maybe we can push for some sort of an advanced warning system. However that may be. I'm not a professional at that, but what else can we do? How can we better prepare? Well, I think one of them is get the word out a lot faster. And I was in a lot of briefings, and I know, you know, by the time the National Weather Service put out a flash flood warning, the flood was already on us. So that's the dynamic of this disaster. It was way in advance of any warning system that we have in our capacity today. And maybe that's something we can work on. Again, my condolences for your losses. And I am certain that this council and mayor is going to be very committed to getting you back on your feet. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Freddie. Mike?
Mr. Mayor, my three colleagues down on the end have pretty much covered how I feel about everything. I've been dealing with floods ever since I was a supervisor for the county, and I thought Tonto Basin was bad, but I've never seen what I saw last week when I was taking a couple of the government officials up Jess Hayes Road to look at damage in homes. And it was pretty tough walking in those homes, seeing the homeowners who were trying to clean their homes out, knowing that there's very little hope that they're gonna be able to revive those homes. You know, those homes are in pretty bad shape. And I really feel for the families, and I want them to understand that we here at the city are here to help them in any way we can and make sure the services are provided that you need. I think the county's got a place set up over at the fairgrounds for information that citizens can inquire about to get some resources. They need to do that, and the city is open to anything you need to know about, and we'll try to help you the best we can. And I've never seen anything this devastating, never. And I've been here 77 years, so I feel for you, I pray for you, and I hope that we make it through here. I think we will, I know we will, because this community is tight, and they care for each other. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Jesse?
Thank you, Mayor. Just want to give my condolences to those families that have lost loved ones, the business owners that have lost their livelihoods. I hope that you know the city stands behind you. The city staff won't leave any rock unturned to find the money and the support that you need. we have an amazing staff here that in sight of all this chaos has come together to try to help find any funding, anything at all to help you. You know, it was overwhelming the amount of support that Globe saw, but not just from outside sources, but from internally. That's what Globe is, right? That's what our community is. We stand by each other. Said it numerous times, it doesn't matter how many times we've fought with our neighbor. When it comes down to helping each other, we push that all aside and we are right there to help each other. We can fight again later on, but we need to do the task at hand. And that's what I love about this community. That's who we are. And, you know, through all of that, we are resilient. We will come back. We'll build stronger. We'll be here again. The flood, it happens. And, you know, and unfortunately with the burn scar, it's something we need to look at, something that we have been looking at. It just was on us so fast that we didn't have time or the funding to do what we needed to do. So we know it's there. We hear you guys, we see it. It's just government works at the government speed. Staff can only beg and plead and ask so much. But we're here with you. We stand with you. If you need help, I mean, to look at the nonprofits in town that all have stepped up and helped, from the chambers doing what they needed to do to alleviate from public safety and public works and council out there with you, mucking businesses out. We're there. So if my phone is open. If you need something, I'm here. I will help you move the mud, move your stuff out, help you wash it, do what you need to do. But again, you have an amazing city staff behind you that will leave no rock unturned. So, that, Mayor.
Thank you, just Mike.
Thank you, Mayor. I mean, where do you start? That's one of the worst things going last because everybody said everything already. But personally, I moved here 15 years ago, and I've seen rainstorms. I was in the valley for 45 years, and I've never seen anything like this before in my life. Even back east, we had severe storms, tornadoes, what have you. But to witness what I witnessed Friday night, I got back from Tucson Friday about 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and the next thing I know, I look out and it's raining, and then it's really coming down, and it just didn't stop. And I live up on a hill, so I didn't see the damage right away until Saturday morning. I went out, and it was just, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I saw Fernando, like you said, you were out there in front of the Uptons cleaning, and it's just like, it was amazing. I just couldn't imagine the force. And then the stories started coming in. The stories from Salinas, the people that were dining in there when that happened. Cars being washed away. You saw the videos of people in the cars. And fortunately, I can't believe there wasn't more losses of life after watching those videos. La Casita, the same thing. 20 people in the restaurant when it happened. The windows blasted out and people swimming out of the building. I heard a story of a lady who was 8 months pregnant that was stuck in there, and she had to swim out the window. A friend of mine that dined at La Casita like at 6 o'clock, she got out of there within half an hour. That's when it happened, and it just, the stories just continue and continue and continue. And I need to back up a little bit. My condolences are to the ones that lost lives, the families. It's very disturbing that the car went into the wash. You saw the damage of the cars, twisted, mangled, and they're finding bodies miles away. I can't fathom what those people went through. But I still can't believe, and no excuse, but three lost lives after watching all that horror on video. And then you think about Balloon School of Dance the night prior. 25 kids in that building. Can you imagine if that would have happened that night? I mean, that would have been Texas all over again. And it's just horrible. There's just no other words about it. Then the businesses. I was a business owner here for 10 years. You know, I used to get pissed off when the roof leaked, and I'd have a 10-foot tunnel. You guys, Salinas, I mean, you're brand new. And to experience that, it's like, where do you start? La Casita, John, yeah. I was over there on Sunday helping them what we could do, mucking that place out. The water level inside that building was 6 feet tall. It's just like, good Lord. How didn't anybody else die in that? And then the recovery of the businesses, like, where do you begin? You know, you guys, where do you begin? You know, I know Annie's, we were dumping freezers and refrigerators out the back window on a forklift. There's junk, it's trash. And, you know, the cost is, I can't even imagine what the cost is gonna be. So, in my position, anything I can do, like Jesse said, if my number's available, call me, come see me, I'll come down and see you. I went and did visit a lot of people. Another one was Tanner down there. All that equipment is gone. It's garbage. Dale, Fletcher, you guys lost a lot of stuff in it as well. It's just, it goes on and on and on. And I hope I'm sure I'm leaving people out, but we as a city, you know, when I moved here, I fell in love with the city, you know, cool little town. I came up here by accident, actually. And next thing I know, I'm living here. But I wouldn't change a thing. This is what Globe is. Globe, Miami, San Carlos strong. Everybody comes together. Thousands of people in the streets for the last several days, coming from everywhere. They don't know who we are. They came to help. So it's just, that's who we are, and we will rebuild. People ask me, oh, so you guys gonna just, you know, give up? No. None of you guys will give up. So whatever we can do as a city, we'll be there for you. So, thank you, Mayor. That's all I got.
Thank you, Mike. Yeah, I missed earlier, Mr. Richard Rosales with APS has also been here through this incident. I just want to make sure I recognize Richard here. First of all, I want to extend my deepest condolences and prayers to those victims that were lost and their families. You know, our hearts are with everybody that was affected by this devastation, and people were down here. Monday, we had over 3,000 volunteers come to our community from all over Arizona and beyond, from other states, to help clean up the community. The overwhelming response is amazing. And we couldn't have done that without these individuals. Our local mines, Freeport McMoran, Capstone, BHP, Resolution, all stepping up to offer a handout and send equipment. To the first responders that were there initially and the work they did, and to all the other ones, the other agencies that have come here now to assist us with search and rescue and cleanup. We thank you for your support. The incident command team that's here, bringing the resources that we need to organize, and because we were beyond our resources, and they still are here to help us out. To our public works and our administrative staff who have worked countless hours from the night it happened and throughout the weekend. We didn't wait till Monday to come to work and start doing things. Our staff was here the weekend, worked long hours during the weekend. Our council, immediately called a council meeting at noon to declare the state of emergency so we could get it to the governor's office immediately. So many efforts were put forward to do that. We are working hard, and we will, because this is unknown territory for us. We will go beyond and hire experts to come in and help us get through this situation. Today we took on the county has an emergency manager. We brought on an emergency manager for this incident for the city, working in our city to help us through the effort. We're still working with the county emergency manager, but we felt that we needed an emergency manager in-house. There's other experts that we're gonna bring in to help us get through this. I wanna thank Andrea Robles and Central Arizona Government for providing us with administrative staff and help that we needed. It's overwhelming, and we truly appreciate that. We heard so many heroic stories of that night. I'll tell you my history that night, and I think it was around 6 o'clock. I went to the Elks, and Mariano was playing music at the Elks. I stopped by the Elks, drove through town. It was packed, people everywhere. Bravo, Silver Tap, Drift Inn. There was people everywhere. Went home, started watching TV. I got a call 30 minutes later and said, are you looking at social media? And I looked at it, and I didn't even know where it was at. I thought it was some back east or something it looked like, with cars floating, propane bottles floating everywhere. It was amazing. I left my house immediately, I live on Escadilla, and the road was already closed, and there was traffic backed up you couldn't see. And I had my little Nissan two-wheel drive. I went to the officer there, and he wouldn't let me through. Luckily, John Manjola from Keno Floors was there with his big four-wheel drive, and he said, I'll take you. And fortunately, AJ was just coming through. I think he was escorting Vince, one of our public works, and we were able, they allowed us to follow him through and to drive and see the devastation that we saw. It was like a war zone. It was amazing. I met our city manager downtown. We immediately went to the fire department. The guys were all congregating there, and they were out doing rescues, but they were also out, trying to organize and make sure that they had a plan in place for that. I think Freddie showed up around 11 o'clock at night. We were downtown till 2 in the morning, and the devastation we saw was amazing. And I too thought of that when I went to La Casita and I saw the dance studio. And fortunate no kids were in there that night, because it would have been horrific if they were in there. So there's lots of stories, a lot of heroic stories. People stepped up, and that's what kept. So we are fortunate. It's bad to lose 2 lives in that incident, but it would have been much worse. We have been in constant contact. Again, we've state of emergency. Had a conversation with Governor Hobbs last night. We have her 100% support moving forward, because it's a process, state and federal. It's a process. We have support from our senators, Senator Gallego, Senator Mark Kelly, Congressman Eli Crane has contacted us. Congressman Adam Biggs has contacted us numerous times. I've been getting calls from mayors all over the city. All over the state, offering help, condolences. The Mayor Gallego from Phoenix called today. They're offering people and help for us, and it's amazing what has transpired. But this meeting tonight, we wanted to make sure that we told the story, that we shared that story. Tomorrow night is an opportunity to go to a town hall at High Desert at 6 o'clock. That's where all the other organizations from DEMA to Red Cross, they'll have a panel up there so you can find out what services, what's out there for you, the money and everything. But I guarantee you, like everybody said here, this council, we will work tirelessly to make sure that we expedite funding as quickly as we can. I guarantee you that. And our staff, I can't commend our staff, Public Works, Fire, Police, but our staff working tirelessly it's amazing. There's meetings I don't know how many meetings I've been to in the last 5 days. and they're constant. So I want to commend that also, our staff also. So again, thank you for the opportunity to at least share our thoughts with what went on.
Mr. Mayor, just one footnote. I want to thank the propane industry. Matlocks made the call soon after, and propane dealers from across the state arrived to help them pull and place from Matlocks, and I know they came running. And I've seen a lot of utilities over my career that do that. They come running. This is the first time I've seen that industry respond. And everywhere I looked, they were in the creeks, they were on the highways, anywhere there was a tank that they could get to safely and quickly, they were on it. And I commend them for adding to the response capability of the incident management team and tying in quickly with local government to make that happen. I'm really impressed. They did what they had to do. And fellow dealership in jeopardy, and did everything they could to help minimize that. That is a first. I haven't seen that before from the propane industry. So thank you. Kudos to them. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
So I do have two call cards before we move on to the next item. Is it a Roger Dowling? If you.
She's already answered my question.
Okay, thank you. I also have Daniel Luster. Thank you very much. Thank you. So we'll move on to item C, and this is update on the city stakeholder relief efforts for commercial and downtown businesses, and it'll be our assistant city manager, Linda Aranero.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members, and residents of our community. So since this has happened, our staff has been busy putting together potential resources to help not just our business owners, but our area residents. And of course, our focus is the city of Globe and our residents and our businesses. But when we do come together to help our community, it's all of our community. So some of the programs I'm going to be talking about tonight are, of course, for City of Globe residents and business owners, but also for those in Miami and Gila County. Since Monday, and absolutely with the help of CAG staff, so thank you to Andrea Robles and her staff, we were able to meet with 68 business owners. We tried to make personal visits to each of the 84 that were owners within the path of the water, and made time to visit with 68 and find out how they were impacted. 45 of those 68 businesses were affected, and 22 of those businesses were not. 10 of those 68 business owners shared with us that they don't have an ETA on reopening and are actually at risk of closing permanently. 35 of those businesses plan to open as soon as possible, as soon as they can get their businesses ready for opening and have that approved by any agencies that need to approve that. So I'm going to talk about the resources that are available, and I'm going to start with the residential. We've been working with our nonprofit communities, specifically the United Fund of Globe Miami. This program was actually put into place after the floods of '21. And we worked with the Salvation Army, who was the intake organization that took in the applications from homeowners that were affected by the floods. So as soon as Miami was hit on Thursday, I should disclose I'm a member of the United Fund, and we met with staff, and we had funding that was left from '21, and we knew that we needed to reopen the program for those Miami residents that were affected. And we had about $80,000 left in the program. This program will actually go live tomorrow at the Disaster Assistance Center at at the fairgrounds, but also will be available for in-person applications at the local Salvation Army office off of Cedar Street. So, let me skip a little bit. So the residents of Globe Miami that were, and this this is who's eligible for the program, residents of Globe Miami and Gila County who were affected by the September flood, the last few days, and they must register with the American Red Cross and be assessed by their staff. Also have the county damage assessment and/or DEMA, and they may apply for disaster relief assistance from the Salvation Army funded by the United Fund and our stakeholders in a maximum amount of $4,500 per household. Let me go back and talk about the business. Some of this has actually changed in the last hour that we've been in here. We've had more donations come in, so I have some information in my talking points that's going to be different from here. We are also working on a business relief grant, and we'd like to be able to announce that the United Fund is seeding that with $50,000 to kickstart that as a challenge grant. In the next couple slides, we will be able to reveal the amount that we have so far. Now, these resources are right here. These are recovery funding that these are our partners in putting these funding programs together for both residential and businesses. So the United Fund is that we're the fundraising arm of this. So we have a QR code that we've been putting out there all over social media. It's going live on local and state news channels. And if someone does donate to the United Fund, they can designate whether they would like it to go to the residential relief, the business relief, or split between the two. Now, our two intake organizations that are facilitating the programs, the residential is Salvation Army, as I had mentioned before, and the second one is Local First Arizona, and we are in process right now. And when I say we, that's the city of Globe. We're in process of putting that agreement into place so that they would be our third-party vendor that will be doing interviews with all of our business owners that were affected by the flood. And this is, again, both in Globe, Miami, and Gila County. So as of a few minutes ago, because of the commitment and generosity of all of our donors, we've raised a total of $513,423.66. Of that, because of our donor designation, $231,000, just under $232,000 is for residential recovery program, and $180,000 is for the business recovery program. And that's over and above the $50,000 seed money that was put forward by the United Fund. We have, in addition to that, we had gift cards that we had purchased in the previous program from Home Depot because so many of our homeowners just needed to get supplies to do the repairs at their homes. So we have nearly $47,000 in gift cards, and that brings us to that over $500,000 total. Now, the Salvation Army program is, the parameters are already developed. The application, like I had mentioned, is available both in person and I believe online. I think it is available after tomorrow at noon. It's always better to go in person and fill that out. The staff has been wonderful. The Salvation Army has brought in 2 additional caseworkers to help with that and to get that funding out there as quickly as possible. It not only helps with getting any needed home repairs done, any costs above and beyond that insurance may cover, but also it can offer temporary housing assistance, lease assistance, so that if your immediate need is getting into a home because yours is not repairable or it's not in the foreseeable future, at least that can put a family in a residence right away. So these are right here, our donors as of right now. We had an anonymous foundation out of California donate $20,000. APS donated $250,000. BHP, $35,000 total, and that is to the City of Globe. Actually, BHP has donated $70,000, and the $35,000 that went towards the Miami relief efforts, that was used for cleanup after last week's storm. Freeport-McMoRan has donated $50,000. As I had mentioned, the United Fund, $50,000 for residential and an additional $50,000 for the business community. And Washington Federal has donated $15,000. And so part of our presentation tonight is to ask council to please consider putting funding towards this program. And Paul, did you want to talk to this point?
Can I?
Well, go ahead, Mayor.
Yeah, just a question.
Yes.
There has also been some donations that have been submitted, I understand. Are those included in this, or is?
Yes. Yes,
So
those are.
because-
These are just some of the highlighted amounts. Some of the smaller amounts we've received, many in the under $1,000 range, a couple thousand, and so those are all included in this. This is a total amount.
So what is the breakdown again for business and
$513,423.66.
and which is business and which is residential?
$180,000 for business.
So, Mr. Mayor, members of council, we are still doing evaluations of the damage. We are still lining up contractors and the reimbursements, working through all that. Our team is working there. We don't have exact handle on the cost, but we do feel that the city is capable of bringing money forward, as we did in COVID, from our contingency fund balance to support a program like this. I hesitate to put a number out at this point. We'd like to see tighten some of the costs that we are going to have to cover in order of getting a lot of these things happening. But I do believe that financially we're able to bring a number to this, and a substantial number. So I think as we go further down in the next meeting, we'll have a lot better handle on what that number should be. But I did want council to think about the fact that this is our fund balance, this is the rainy day fund, and this may be a good use for that. It is a good use for that. If this is not a good use, nothing else is. So but I hesitate on putting a number on the table right now, just until we can get a handle on the need, get a handle on our cost, and get a handle on the other dynamic things, since we're, it's Wednesday from a Friday event.
And our number will go directly to the business community.
Yes, it's oddly, we put a category of people, and that category of people are people who are impacted by the flood, who are business owners. Those business owners give back to the city directly. They have a direct financial impact. So investing in them is something that will pay us back directly. And so we don't run into a gift clause situation. As long as we treat everybody fairly. Now residential, I need to work on the mechanics of that. And then,
Mr. Mayor, this question is for Paul and Linda. I sat in for you on Sunday's meeting with the Director of Emergency Management of the state, and he went through the information collection process to make us eligible for a federal declaration. And there are parameters there that have to be met in order to be eligible. In some instances, we're already there, but on other instances, we're not yet there, and we're waiting on data collection to come in. And so this is local driven as far as local assistance is concerned. I guess I'm going to call it local.
It is.
Although there are huge corporations here behind us, but it's local. But there's a second step which deals with FEMA allocating funds for individual assistance and then small business loans. And this is, my memory goes, I've been in the business a long time, but the point I'm trying to make is that This is in addition to what the federal government might give us in the future after we qualify and go to a presidential declaration. Point two is that the city has incurred expenses, just like the town of Miami and the county, and we will put mechanisms in place to recover that response cost and apply for it with FEMA. That's a different pot of money, but one of our goals is to replenish the rainy day fund. All of us as local organizations have costs that we just bore for 5 days, 6 days. So that process is in place now. I know the county's working on that. Reservists have been called out and they're doing inspections of the homes and businesses. And so that's the second step, but and that's always been my gripe. It's not fast enough, but you'd be surprised how fast they're moving now in this day and age. The director gave us good direction on that and the amount of funding that the town of Miami, the county, and the city would be eligible for in the reimbursement processes, which may be much faster than I've ever seen. We were doing abacuses when I was younger in the profession, but the point is that process is going to be ongoing at the same time.
And Mr. Mayor, members of council, I'm gonna give you the 30-second synopsis of the hour meeting we had. The first level is, have we had 25 homes and 5 businesses damaged, and that we've met that threshold. With that threshold, we get small business loan, we qualify for small business loans, and we qualify for a 75-25 match. Whatever we spend, we have to match the 25 of the 75, and we get reimbursed by the state. If we can identify $13 million in public infrastructure damage that is not insured, then we hit the higher level that Councilman Gonzalez was talking about, where there are that's when it clicks into, and I'm not going to go into the lingo. It clicks into the higher level, and what the important part of that is individuals can apply between $5,000 and $50,000 for individual losses for private property. But without hitting that 13 million, there's no avenue for individuals to apply, at least in the structure that we're working in. If we do hit that 13 million, the city will match will only be 10 rather than 25. And so those, whether we hit that 13 million, that's what we're looking on right now, and that's what our emergency manager and other contractors are going to be helping us do. So just so you know, those are some of the calculations that's still undetermined.
But when you talk about 13 million, we're not just talking about the city of Globe. This encompasses Globe, Miami, San Carlos, and the county.
Yes, it's the incident, which is the Thursday and Friday, Globe, Miami County, San Carlos, and it's public infrastructure. It's a shame that doesn't handle private, but still, you know, I can't say what it's going to turn out, but, you know, I think better than not chances that we reach that threshold.
Okay, I'm sorry, Jesse had one first.
With assessing that dollar amount, that $13 million, who comes to assess that? Is that what the emergency manager Carl Melford was alluding to with that assessment that he's asking the residents to do?
There is a very complicated, and this is taking a lot of our time, and who does the assessment, how we do it, the documentation, to make sure we separate what would have happened normally versus flood aspects. It is very structured, it is very strict, but and we have to do a lot of documentation. It's many multiple things. There's counts for the population, there's counts for what we spend, there's counts for the damage reports. I would not be qualified to explain it fully at this point in this meeting, but we can put that as a future agenda item to go through that, because we will be dealing with that very soon, because we may need to approve some, we have some emergency powers that we'll have to ratify.
If I could follow up, jumping gears here, when do you anticipate finance and everybody will have a solidified number to present to council so we can give our business owners?
I think we're not gonna, we can have this by the next meeting. I think we can have a hard number, at least a starting point by the next meeting, no problem.
The next council meeting, or?
The next, yeah, which would be, what's our schedule? It's
14th, I believe.
14th, yeah. And we may be looking at another special next week anyway. So as soon as we can get that number out, we would.
Fernando?
So for example, like, Upton's is gonna have quite a bit of damage, but we're taking care of it ourselves. Do we need to document that and provide
Yes.
data for
Private
you guys?
property.
Private okay.
Private property.
So it doesn't help you?
I wouldn't, there's volunteers help. It's a complicated, I know if I start to tell you yes or no answers, I'm gonna probably get myself I'm gonna misspeak. But in general, private losses don't count to the 13 million.
Okay, all right, so, go ahead.
There's one more good thing to say. In today's world, local government can call upon the state. They have a master list of accountants, accounting firms that do the work that we're just talking about. You contract with them and they do it all for you in terms of documentation and then requesting, submitting, and they're available now. That was not true during my career. I was pen and paper doing it myself. This is done by an accounting firm that is wise to the ways of the forms that FEMA requires. So my recommendation is that we do the contract, pick one off the list, and let them do the paperwork so our personnel could get back to regular business. They will do it. It's worth every penny of paying that contractor. Just like we have an incident management team, we have an accounting team that there's a cadre of companies that do this for you. And I
Mr.
recommend
Mayor,
that. So that's another page.
So, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, to that point, we actually have representatives from one of the teams. They're emergency logistics teams.
Yes.
And they help with the managing the submissions for salary reimbursements. Most importantly, managing the collection of refuse and debris, which has to be documented that it was storm-related debris and where it came from, and they have to record that. It is a very complicated task. Our staff has so many things that they need to do. This company fees would be covered under the reimbursement, at least at 75%, hopefully at the 90%. But I believe just by having a company that is geared up and knows what they're doing, they're gonna be able to do a tighter, more accurate count and get our number higher. It will pay for itself. And then it takes the burden off of staff. We don't have to we were in a meeting talking about this, and it makes your head spin when you learn. And these people are like rattling off, and we're like, okay, wow, you know. So we're looking at that, and Mayor will actually have a conversation later. But I think that's really important that be one of the people that we look at to help us through this, so we can hit that 13 million and then be sure to get our reimbursements, and it will save us money in the long run, provide good, and our services will be provided properly, and it will take the weight of trying to learn yet another complicated task by the city staff that, you know, somebody who's just trained. Hire the professional, hire the expert that's already trained.
Jesse, go ahead.
Linda, you've spoke about how residential applies, and that would be open tomorrow with the Salvation Army. How do the business community apply for those funds currently? And if they apply now and waiting until this match or whatever money council puts in, are you going to, at that point, is United Fund just gonna start giving the money out, or are we gonna wait until all donors and all businesses are there, and who do they report to and how do they report their expenses?
So on the business side, the business relief grant, that's gonna be facilitated by Local First Arizona, and that's the agreement that we're working on right now and bringing to council at the next meeting. And so that funding, probably the soonest it could go out would be 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay. And how do they keep track of those expenses currently without knowing what parameters are going to be there? Should they just now start looking at their losses, documenting every single part of it, and then being ready to support that in an application, or?
I can't, because those parameters are still being, put into place, what is the threshold, the floor and the ceiling of what is available, and that's why we're really hitting not our community, but really outside of the community. We've received contact from all over the country, and we're taking advantage of all the publicity and really putting our story out there and bringing those outside dollars in to help our business community and telling the stories of the Murrays, of Annie Villalobos, of all the families, Tanner, Hunsaker, all the families that have been affected by this event. And so until we have a better idea of what our total funding will be at the point that we're closer to distributing, I'd hate to say that right now. So I would say yes, keep close accountings of everything that you're spending, and because I'd hate to say, we hope we could give, 10,000 now, or maybe it could be 50,000. It's depending on where we can land, and we're going to be very aggressive. And when I say we, it's our United Fund staff. Our city staff after hours, we're really contributing to all the marketing, and anybody that would like to be part of this. And anytime you see a post, share it with all of your contacts. We're really working closely with all of the state news stations. We have contact with the national news stations now, and so we're taking advantage of all the media that has been in town most recently.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. But kind of coming back to maybe better answer your question, the application will be conducted by Local First, and there will be a in-person meeting to kind of kick off, have any questions that are answered, and then Local First staff can meet with individual business owners one-on-one if they have any questions about the application. We're trying to make it as simple as possible.
Okay, thank you.
Let's see. So we all know how government works, and state funding, FEMA funding is gonna take a while. We're even talking within our own selves, we're waiting till next meeting, we're waiting till this, we're looking 3 weeks down the road. I walked through several businesses today that are busting their butt and getting their place ready. And I know finance is here, but we've worked hard to build that fund balance, and this is what it's for. And not afraid to say a number of 200 to 250,000 we just put towards our businesses right now. They need it now, not 3 weeks from now.
I agree.
Absolutely.
So, Mr. Mayor, members of council, our agenda is set so that we can take action on anything that was discussed here. So if you wanted to do a starting point at 200,000 and vote that tonight, we can do that.
I make a motion, Mr. Mayor, that we approve.
But that'll be on the next one, on the
Next one?
action.
Why can't we do it
Yeah,
now?
we gotta get, he's gotta
On
move
the
on
next
to
one.
the action item.
All right.
Okay.
But
And we know, we know there's gonna be costs associated with, this event, with contractors, with other stuff and things like that. Thank God we're not playing for the incident management team. We know the cost of that daily.
That's the level.
But I think we're safe with doing 200,000 now. Look at our costs and maybe putting more, but that's to our business community immediately.
Paul, I think we should mention, the other resources that we are bringing into the community, to our business community, the assessment that's been offered by so many of our stakeholders, engineers that are, that work closely with Freeport-McMoRan, and I can't remember the other two that have offered, but, so this is an additional resource. We should mention that our community development director, who's also our building official, Tony Manfredi, has spent 3 days going out door to door and doing emergency site evaluations of the exterior of the impacted buildings to get a better idea of what's actually happening. And if there has been if the event has caused some structural issues with the building, then that's when we can bring in these professional firms, these structural engineers, to put a set of eyes on and to give a deeper look into the building. And so the price tag on that is, probably starting point is $10,000. So from there up, because some buildings, of course, are 2-story and some are much larger than others. So this is an additional resource aside from, the business relief grant that we are bringing into the community. And I just wanted to make sure that we mention that, because that has tremendous value to our business owners.
So if we were to put 200, that gives them about $400,000 available immediately. Close to 400,000.
Yeah, close to 400.
And Mr. Mayor, members of council, I'd like to say, you know, government is not like private sector. You have some advantage because of this, but some of the, we still have to just go through the numbers of setting this up so it works. We don't wanna go so fast that we frustrate people. But by approving that number tonight, then we know as soon as we can get up and running, we can start taking the action. One small thing that was a suggestion from the business owners was for anybody who is deemed in that shut down right now, we're gonna, with council, and like you to take a direction and a vote on that, is to waive the water costs. Their water fees, when the water's on, there's a lot of volunteers down there hosing down, there's a lot of cleanup going through, a lot of, taking a lot of water. They're not open for business. They're gonna have to cover that gap from when they're not bringing revenue to when they can get back open. That's one thing that we can control, and that is to waive water fees for those businesses that are shut down because of this flooding event. And we will, and I haven't had a chance to do the math on when the bill cycle is and that, but during that time period, we will waive the fees. Okay. But I would need action when we get to the action part also.
Is that business and homeowners or?
Recourse.
But I don't know if.
Well, we can't,
Everybody affected?
yeah, I mean, I think along Judge Hayes, that is mostly our coverage, I think that would be, but I would think, like I say, this is, just came up with this soon from a suggestion from the audience, so, I think that we have the site evaluation. I think we can identify those homes that have significant damage, and I think we can take that list from the people who, did those, the council members drove around with, and put them on the list, and we can work, if we need to expand it a little bit, we'll know, but let's say, when we get to the motion, let me think about it a second, and I'll come up with a motion.
Well, Linda, you identified, I think you said 98 homes. How many of those are in the city though?
That I don't know.
Yeah, see, so, yeah, it was 98 homes, but those aren't all in the city.
Yeah, I think that's a regional count. And I do have a clarification. I got a text from our executive director. They are Visa gift cards, so those gift cards can be used anywhere. It's not Home Depot.
Great.
Mr. Mayor, just one last comment, please. The decision was made to compress all resources to the Disaster Assistance Center at the county fairgrounds. We had to make that decision in order to, well, we couldn't do things, we couldn't use the schools, they're in session. So the decision was made basically to put it out at the county fairgrounds, and I've heard gripes, I realize that. There's a mechanism in place right now to try to get a shuttle out there for as long as is needed, so I know operations is working on that at the county EOC. We ask for your patience on that, but if you can get out there to the Disaster Assistance Center, we're also doing centralization. All resources, such as people who want to volunteer and help the homeowner muck out a garage, we're trying to centralize that to that Disaster Assistance Center because we have to. FEMA prefers that we centralize it like that. It's the only facility outside of the schools that we could get to have a Disaster Assistance Center, and actually it would be better because from there we can outsource the volunteers that are coming in. There may be some gripes, but I'm sorry, we've got to do one facility and make it work, and that's the place to be. So as soon as we hear that there is a shuttle, we will let you know as soon as possible, Mr. Mayor. I want to remind the public that 8 o'clock in the morning, the phone service the county has put in for the call center for all needs is 928-402-8888. That's 928-402-8888. They open at 8 o'clock in the morning, and they'll expedite your request for either assistance or mucking out, whatever duty your request is. And the outside community is coming in again, and they're assuming they have a local place on this side of town to get to volunteer. Yes, they have to go an extra 5-6 miles to get out there to the fairgrounds, but that is the best we can do. And I had that wild thought, gee, if we had that incubator building ready to go, we could stage off of there. That's a future point we need to put in our after action report. So after it comes in.
Not right now.
But not right now. But the point is, we have to centralize the receipt and distribution of all materials and help that we're going to be offering to the public. The agencies are there now. So that is the place to be working out of. And I know we've notified several agencies of that. We need to keep pushing to get out there to fairgrounds to either be tasked or to make your applications. And I know we're doing a lot of things on the net, so just needed to make that point.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And Mr. Mayor, members of council, just really fast, I know we're going long here, but at the next meeting, I hope to be able to thank and identify hundreds of people who have reached out to all of us and contributed from across the country, from the state, from the region, from governments, from private sector. We have Freeport here, we have APS here, and there's so many more. I'm not even gonna try to name them. I'm trying to get a handle on so we can respond to everybody. But it's just the outpouring and everybody from the local news to to see that we will, as we get our footing, we will find a way to better recognize them. But I just can't let this meeting go by without thanking all those people who have reached out to us. And be patient with us. We're trying to go through. We're trying to go through all communication.
Yeah, this isn't just a little city problem. This is a big problem, and there's a lot of people involved in it, and everybody's trying to help us out, which is greatly appreciated, and we just need to slow down, organize it, and take a step one at a time, not big leaps at once.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. So we'll go to action items. Item A is consideration and possible action based on council direction from presentations by the city regarding the September 26, 2025 flood event.
Mr. Mayor, I can make a motion to move $200,000 for contingency to United Fund Business Fund and waive water costs to those that are affected in the business and residential areas, and waive section 2-4-10A prior discussion rule.
And make all the transfers necessary.
Make all the transfers necessary.
Okay.
Is that the
We have a
water,
second.
though, did we talk
We
about?
we can do two motions.
I did it with the water.
Yeah,
I did that, I did
Yeah, he
200,000 for
included in the
contingency
motion.
and waive the water cost to those affected business and
Oh, you did
residential.
wrap it in there?
Yep.
Okay.
He did it all in one.
So-
Second.
And Mr. Mayor, let's get a second, and then I'll.
We got a second.
Okay,
Fernando
so-
seconded.
Yeah, so what that'll do, and we will bring this back, this action will do that, just so for our records, we'll come back and ratify the actual motions, but we can do that now, just so we have our process that we promised. Secondly, again, we have any business, currently closed because of the flooding, and we talk about the 98 homes affected by the flooding. That, to clarify, that's what I hear.
That is exactly what you hear,
Saying.
yes.
And just one question, I guess, Linda, before you leave, the 200,000 or the business loan we have, the initial 100, I'm sorry, you can, yeah. Just so I understand it. Yes, the program, the 180,000, is that for the community or is that was for Globe?
The 180,000 is for the community, but what the city sets aside is for the city of Globe businesses,
Okay.
yes.
But they have access to that 180,000 also?
Yes.
As a, okay,
So it's 380,000.
yeah, something like that.
Yes.
Right, a business.
Potentially, yes.
And I just want to encourage you, if you have people out there, make sure they're donating to United Fund or to the, or Salvation Army, either one.
No,
Goes to the United Fund.
it goes to, 100% of the proceeds that are donated to the United Fund for both the residential and the business program go back into our community. There's no administrative costs whatsoever. So there's 3 ways to do it. Through the Arizona Gives website, you could Zelle the United Fund or make a direct deposit into First Interstate across the street.
You can go directly to First Interstate.
Correct.
Okay, great, okay. Freddie?
Can we get that posted somewhere?
Oh, yes, we have a flyer, and now,
Okay.
now that we have an MOU signed with Salvation Army and soon with Local First, we can go live with that, so I'll have those ready tomorrow, and then as soon as we get the MOU ready with, Local First, we'll also have a flyer on how to contribute, whether it's to the United Fund or directly to Local First Arizona.
Fernando, go ahead.
Well, one thing I just like to remind people, because some people don't realize it, but like if you donate to like United Fund, some of your employers will match you. So like for me, if I donate to a nonprofit, I just fill out a paperwork and then State Farm Corporation will match what I gave. So keep that in mind if you do donate, that whether or not your employer will match you.
And that's, I can't say enough about Freeport-McMoran. So Freeport-McMoran does a double match on every dollar up to a certain amount. They do a double match to United Fund. And again, all that, and the employer, the employee can designate which nonprofit. So if CCYS is your thing, then you can designate that funding to go to CCYS. But then the match from Freeport, that goes to the area nonprofits that receive grant funding. Currently, we fund nearly 30 nonprofits in the community. And again, every dollar that comes into the United Fund goes back out into the United Fund. And just a little history, the United Fund of Globe Miami was founded in 1964, and we have one board member who has been on our board since, I think, 1965, and that's Marianne Moreno. And so everyone on our board is just absolutely committed to giving all that they can and driving these fundraising efforts so that we can support our nonprofit community, because we're rural, we're a small town, but we have so much going on that is driven by our nonprofit community, who truly are our partners in building the community. So I just thank everyone who does contribute to these nonprofits and also to the United Fund. But in this respect, for giving back to businesses and affected homeowners, you know that your dollars are going to who they need to go to when you do give to the United Fund.
Yeah, and I saw the list, so I just want to make clear that we're not donating to any of those other nonprofit organizations. We want our money going directly to our residents and to our
Correct.
and to our business people now, not to the other ones at this point.
Right.
So I guess when you donate, specify whether you want to go to business or residential.
And you can do that.
You can do that.
Absolutely. Whatever your preference is, it's called donor designation. We absolutely honor what our donors direct us to do, and we're honored to do so.
And I encourage everybody to donate. I know there's some businesses out there doing their own independent fundraisers. Donate to them. We got to get them open. I mean, that's the only way we're going to do it. It's important that we donate to them. Whatever's out there, but make sure it's legit.
And if you want to donate to the United Fund and you want to say, I specifically want it to go to this business, it will go to that business.
Okay.
Without any fees.
Pardon? Oh, yeah.
Without any fees.
Yeah. Okay, any other discussion? Call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Motion passed. Any future agenda items?
Mr. Mayor, yes, I think, let me look at the agenda and see how we vote.
You run out of the agenda.
We have a future agenda.
I'm not getting another one.
Oh, is there?
Future agenda items.
I did.
Yeah. All right, so.
11:30.
We wanted to have the future agenda item in case there was a topic that didn't fall within the categories of what we talked about. It doesn't seem like anything has fallen in there, so that's good. But, my question on future agenda items is, would you like to come together next week for more to Councilman Letham's question about some of the nuances and some of the challenges of this reimbursement process?
Yeah.
I think we'd be happy to do a special meeting for that. I don't know if council wants to do an evening meeting or a daytime meeting. We got the money moved, but this is more of a technical.
Can you just do it in an
so,
email?
What's that?
Do you want to do it in a meeting or you want to do it in email?
We could. It's up to you if you want to do it in a work group, or yeah. We'll poll. Shelley will reach out to you and decide how you want to do this and who wants to.
Okay. Okay. Do I have motion to adjourn?
Motion made.
Second.
Motion second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned. Thank you for coming.